We're going live now. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to your Sunday tonic. It's conversation with the Love Crusader, and we are here for our Q and A Sunday. So the last Sunday of every month on conversation is our Sunday for discussing questions that have come in the course of the month from you, our viewers, and our listeners. This month we were dealing majorly with domestic abuse, and we have two questions. Of course, I always say out of all the questions that are coming in, we try to go with what is first. And in this case, again, I was happy a man sent a question because last week we talked about the male perspective of domestic abuse. All right, if you're coming across the platform for the first time, let's quickly introduce this platform to you. It is called Conversation with the Love Crusader. It's a platform where we talk about love, we talk about life, we talk about relationships, all in a fun manner. We are live every Sunday at 6 p.m. Please subscribe, share. We are on YouTube at Men Fences TV, on Facebook at Men Fences, Instagram, Men Fences _ love, TikTok, Men Fences _ love. You can find us on any of those platforms. And if you have a question, there is a WhatsApp number attached to Facebook page where you can send in your question and your comments, and we'll deal with it anonymously, we promise. All right, my co-hosts are in the house with me. I'm not alone, and that gives me joy always, because what's a conversation without people to talk to? All right, ladies first. Titilayo is here. Titilayo looks a bit
Hi,
worried, but
people.
she's here. Our
It's
big
good to be here again.
welcome. Emmanuel is also here. Um, yeah. Welcome, Emmanuel.
Hello. Thank you.
So, I like sometimes to just tell you people their titles, because when you see these people here, they are very, very humble,
The-
but they are big people. This is pharmacist Titilayo. They are qualified professionals who come to this platform to talk. And the other one is medical doctor Emmanuel. So, welcome again, my people, to the platform. Let's get into the questions, because we know our 1 hour usually flies by, and before we know it, we are out of time. Question one. Forgive me, I've been very busy. I couldn't type out the questions, but I'll just tell you the questions and then we'll deal with it one after the other. So the very first one is that so we got this cry for help from a member, one of our members on our WhatsApp group, whose neighbor is panel beating the wife, is physically abusing the wife, and this has been going on for years. She says she spoke to the woman, and the things she told the woman who took it back to the husband and the husband now came to her house to warn her and her own husband to stay away from his family and mind their business. And of course, they stayed away for a while, although they still told him at that point that, what you're doing is wrong. You don't have to beat your wife and stuff like that. Few months down the line, of course, it continued. She got the opportunity to report this to their pastor. And I think from the intervention of the church, the family of the woman was made aware, and the family came and took her away. But surprisingly, like 6 months after, she's back to the marriage, back to that same house. and the man is back at it again, beating her and pounding her. Our member is afraid that she can't just keep quiet about this, and keep watching this woman. Yes, the man has told her to mind her business and stay away. And you would say, okay, the woman has been rescued once before and she came back again. But how else can she help this woman? Because she doesn't want to hear the woman has fallen one day and did not get up again. So let's try to help her. How do we help this woman? Who wants to go first? Should we do ladies first? Titi, how do we help this beautiful member of ours who wants to help her neighbor?
It's sad, really. It's a sad story. But there are so many stories like this. I mean, it's not really new. Unfortunately, you can't help someone that does not want to be helped. You just can't. Um, if they say they want to be helped, they are willing to accept your help, then you can extend that help to them. But if they say they don't want to, even if they are dying, unfortunately, there's really nothing you can do about it. So at this point, she can only pray for her,
Hmm,
because it's not like she hasn't intervened before, and look where that got her. So I mean, it's not even her intervention that is the issue now. And I'll just tell her, don't carry that guilt with you. You've done your best, you've done what you feel you should do, but she's back again. So the best thing you can do now is to pray for her. And I know that sometimes we feel like, especially when the deed has happened, you feel, I should have done something better. I should have, said this, or I should have taken this action. You know, a couple of years back, I lost a friend to domestic abuse.
hmm,
You know, and in hindsight, I felt maybe I should have taken more action. Maybe I should have, even when she mentioned like a hint of it, you know, maybe I should have acted more. But at the end of the day, you really can't help who does not want to be helped.
hmm,
If you're not ready, there's nothing you can do about it. So you can't allow yourself to carry that guilt with you. And in this woman's case, she has even tried, you know, but the other woman she's trying to help does not get it yet. Until she gets it, I'm sorry.
hmm.
Spiritual is the only way you can help now.
Emmanuel, do you feel the same way? How can this woman help the person who she still needs help?
Yeah, it's actually again a sad, just like Tizi said, quite a sad situation. Um, I don't think that she has exhausted all the options of the things she can do. However, I do have to applaud her for putting herself in that position and trying her best to help. If she has reached out to the church to try to intervene, which has eventually brought the family to intervene, perhaps the one step I might think is still possible is to get law enforcement involved. Maybe report, excuse me, maybe report to the police, have some kind of law enforcement involved. But what it here has said is really true, because even if a police officer, for example, comes into the situation and in the presence of the police officer, the man is trying to hit the woman, if the woman tells the police officer, nothing is wrong, I am not pressing charges, I am absolutely fine, there's no complaint here, there's nothing to be seen here, even the police officer would very much be handicapped in terms of what he or she can do. They will not be able to force help on this person. The other thing is perhaps if there are other groups that support people in domestic abuse situations, maybe there are women's shelter, groups like that that might be able to serve as an intervention. All of these, though, will still have to do it. Titi used the word, she has to get it, or else Even if they try to intervene, it's going to be a matter of months for her to be back again to that same situation, right? So, at the end of the day, all we can try to do is get you to the well. You have to just try to drink water. It's
Right.
the kind of situation here. And it's really sad that it has come to that point where, you say the person doesn't actually consider their own well-being, because that's really the main problem here. The main problem or the main concern is not really the marriage or any other thing. It's now a case of your own personal well-being. The problem with domestic violence is someone can hit you in the wrong place without really intending to do you severe harm, but end up incapacitating you. And that
Mm.
man is going to go ahead and marry someone else even if you're not killed. But just imagine if you're paralyzed because he hit you in the wrong place, right? And you become a quadriplegic, or you just lose certain functionalities. Do you think somebody that doesn't care enough about you to stop hitting you would care enough to stay and be your caregiver?
Hmm.
Also, the person has to get it. And I would say the only suggestions I can make are the ones I've just mentioned, or maybe additional ways that there might still be intervention in that situation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you both. Thank you both. I think before I would add my voice on what I think she should do, can we just generally talk about why it looks like, especially women, are stuck on their abuser? There's this explanation of um, the Stockholm syndrome. I tried to Google it, something about um, people seeing their abusers as heroes, and not seeing a life outside them. Like they believe they've been brainwashed, or they've come to believe that they don't have any life outside this person. you know is it just that? Is it financial dependence, the fear of being alone? Is it like, okay, maybe for example, this matter we're talking about now is happening down in Africa? Is it a matter of the stigma of living marriage? Because I mean, like in her case, usually it's the parents who will be saying, "Oh, you want to bring shame on the family, you want to pack your load and come." Her parents came and took her away, from what we heard, but she's back there again by herself. What are some of the reasons why it looks like they are beating you, you are not happy, but you are not living? Can we just try and maybe do some analysis and about around this, because it will really help me in this work that I do with abused women. This is one of my biggest challenge, getting this person to agree that, in fact, in some cases, if it's not even physical, to even agree that abuse is ongoing is war, to be able to convince them, man, this is abuse we are going through, before you now convince the person to take action. Sometimes they will even open their mouth and tell you, I'm not happy, but they're not doing anything about it. So why?
Hmm.
Go on, Titi.
I think one of the major reasons, especially in the part of the world that we come from, is religion and culture. But nowadays, it's more of religion because most people, yeah, some people can say culture is outdated. The way our parents were doing it, not the way we are doing it now, blah 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 blah. But religion is a stronghold. You know, when you believe something, when you believe something so much, that thing controls your entire being. So if something has been indoctrinated into you for so long, you start
Mm,
believing it, you start accepting it, such that even if you are dying, you think you are doing the right thing. You think you are enduring, you think you are sacrificing, you know, and somehow there's some kind
mm,
of um
perseverance.
Yes, you were saying that sometimes they see their abusers as heroes. They see themselves as heroes. You know, you see yourself as the one that is
Oh,
doing what, yes, you see yourself as the one that is doing what God says to do, you know, and there's nothing you will tell that person. From my experience, I've realized there's nothing. Even if they are going to die, they would rather die than for that marriage to break up. You know, I've seen people say things like, okay, if the marriage is going to end, let it not be that it's me that is ending the marriage. Like, let it not be that I'm the one saying, I want to end this marriage, or I'm the one that wants to divorce. You know, if it's the guy that comes out and now says, or the abuser that comes out and now says, I don't want this marriage again, they feel more at peace with themselves. So religion is a very strong thing, and it is really, really sad. Religion. It is just because, especially for the women, growing up, that thing has been ingrained into your system. So to take it out is going to take a lot of
mm,
work. And there's nothing, as in, there's, you can't say, you can't bring them to that point of agreeing, except they agree to come to that point. I don't know how, except they agree to agree, and it is a tough one. Then maybe the society too, especially in Africa,
yeah, I know what you mean.
you know. So that's just, it is sad.
Yeah, and the
Emmanuel, what do you
situation
think?
you describe about people having a certain kind of dependence on their abuser, it is
Abuser.
real. Yes, it is real, and unfortunately, it's a lot easier for someone who is outside of a situation to be objective about that situation than it is for the person that is inside the situation. Oftentimes people tend to, we have many different kinds of coping mechanisms, right? And people use so many different wrong coping mechanisms in different situations to rationalize their situations, what you've talked about, for example. And then you have other forms of coping mechanisms that help to just continue the vicious cycle. But outside of that sphere of maybe psychological or having some kind of disorder behind why someone is acting a certain way, I just feel that if somebody has stayed in a situation for a long time, they would have mentally built up um, reasons to make them feel it's okay to be in that situation and think they can make it through that situation. It's almost as if I've been there before. I know what it's like. I know I know essentially how it will start, when it would end, how this goes, what will happen. And there's a sense of control that somebody may feel they have over a situation that in reality they don't have that control. And like I said in my initial comment, anything can go wrong from the standpoint of just being hit in the wrong place, right? So, and until
Mm-hmm.
that, now maybe something really severe, such as someone hitting you and rupturing your liver, your spleen, something really severe like that may happen before that person actually realized that they're really not in, they don't really have as much control as they thought they have over the situation. And it's rather unfortunate that over time, if you before I got married, somebody made a comment. We went to visit a man in our church, and myself and my wife, then we're not yet married. And the man in my presence made a comment to my wife. He said, listen, there's a lot of nonsense going on in marriages, and people don't say anything. I know we're Christians, but I'm going to tell you one plain fact of what you do. If your husband to be, if he ever hits you, the day hits you, I give you permission to get a bottle, break that bottle, and use it to harm him. And we got laughing. Yeah, after that severe joke was out of the way, he came back to explain his point. His point was, the very first time that kind of abuse comes up, if you permit it to go freely without having a visceral reaction that shows this is not okay, you set a precedent for what will continue to happen going down the line. And before you know it, you're looking at 1 year, 2 years, more years of living in
Mm,
an abusive
mm,
situation that you have come to feel comfortable
mm.
around because you allowed it from
True.
the get-go. So, and there are many people that are in a
Yeah.
situation where it now feels like there is no way out of it. But there is always a way out of it. It's what we're trying to, emphasize. And you should always seek help. And it is not okay. It is not acceptable. Um, of course, including the points Titi already raised.
For these people, living or taking a break is not a way. They don't see it as a way. So come up with something else that is doable, that is feasible, but not
Which
living.
is for them to stay there and die.
Praying that he will change or she will change, you know.
Praying what? Pray. Before now, I think people used to misunderstand this message of mine when I preach it. And I've been accused of encouraging divorce and of encouraging people to leave their marriage. And in fact, some people have said, "Oh, you didn't leave yours. You are telling people to leave." But the fact remains that um, I'm not here to say divorce is the only way out. But if this kind of situation is happening, my thought will be separate for a while, let everybody heal, the woman heal from her trauma, the man heal from his anger issues or whatever demons that are chasing him. One woman has told me the husband is as if they are remoting him somewhere. So 1 minute now they are laughing, the next minute he's punching her from for one something that is so little, and you'll be wondering, is it not the same man that we were laughing this minute? Okay, agreed. Maybe demons are even remoting this man from somewhere. Why don't you be away from him and be safe? Why don't you be away from that woman and be safe while they deliver him from his demons? Rather than sit down there and be saying, "Oh, okay, let us pray." And then while you are praying, God forbid, the demons are overcoming both you and him. And anything can happen, like Emmanuel has said. This is the fear of all these situations, even if it's not physical. With psychological and emotional abuse, people have ended up as mental cases, end up in mental homes. If it goes on for so long, people start doubting their own sanity. I have heard of, women or men. Women have not really heard of a man, but I mean a woman who is doubting her own sanity. And that is the beginning of a mental health crisis because she's been gaslighted so much. She doesn't even know what is right or wrong anymore. Anyways, like I
Yeah, I
advised
was
the
just going to add also that there should be, it's important to emphasize that the perpetrator needs help.
definitely.
Yes, and in this situation, there should be intervention also that is geared towards educating, enlightening, and rehabilitating the perpetrator also.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
the person may not know that that's not okay or doesn't have anger management skills. There are many things that can be learned that would improve how the person deals with, because it's really just how do you deal with your emotion. Everybody feels emotions, right? But
Yeah.
we all have different ways of dealing with them. And for some of us, perhaps maybe how you've raised yourself, how you've been raised, or what you've learned over time, not to do certain things. But for some people, they feel certain things are okay to do. So it's just a matter of that person also needs intervention where he or she needs to know that there are alternate methods of expressing that emotion that comes with the anger or frustration or wrath that will be healthy and less likely to cause harm or damage to another person.
Yes, I totally agree with you. That's why I said, when they're separated, separate them and let every of I mean both parties get some help. The victim gets help for their trauma, the perpetrator, like you've said now, also get help for their situation. And if they are willing, because that's another thing, the perpetrator may not be willing to work with you. The what's it called, the victim might also not be willing to work with you. But if we are blessed that we have a situation where, and this I have seen happen, a situation where both of them are willing to work, the victim is willing to work on her trauma or his trauma, the perpetrator is willing to work on being, cured and treated and taken care of, then, we can both come back together and become two healthy people who can now enjoy, their relationship and enjoy their marriage and enjoy their being together. It is not like the separation is the end of it and we are saying, oh, no, you must separate from that person. No, we are saying separate for a while, both seek help, both seek counseling, both seek, ways to repair this relationship. And it's not going to be an instant thing. It's not going to be like a wand you will wave. These things happen over time because remember, even for the perpetrators, sometimes either they have seen this growing up, this is the life they know, you know, in most cases, which will take years for, it's taking years to have been engraved and ingrained in their mind as this is life. So it takes a while also for them to be able to work on it. But if we are both patient with each other and we are willing, that willingness is what really, really is the challenge. The fact that many are not even willing to work at it and find solution to their problem. That is where the major challenge is. Like I advised the person um on Wednesday, basically the way Emmanuel was saying it now, get law enforcement involved, go get women rights activists, who can, legally, they have legal grounds to step into these things. It will not now be a matter of whether they want to listen or they don't want to listen. It will be that we are legally taking over this matter and handling it in such a way that, I also said, try and be friends with this woman. Find out what her challenge is. If it's a case of, oh, I don't have a stable job, I don't have a stable income, I don't know, I'm going to survive with my children, so I don't want to leave this man. Let her understand there are ways, that things can be done for her to get, financially empowered, and for her to stand on her own at least for a while. Anyways, thank you for your comment. I hope you're watching. We are very, very little. We appreciate. Let me even begin to say first of all that we appreciate that as a neighbor, you're concerned. So you are not a busybody. That's why they are making you look like, oh, mind your business. It's your business. And that's the awareness we're trying to create for everyone. It's your business. Please don't be that person who sees an abusive situation and keeps quiet. I have lost a few friends because when I step into the situation, I'm like, this is not acceptable. And then before you know what is happening, even the person I'm trying to rescue will not even be relating with me again. But anyways, I've not kept quiet, and that gives me, peace of mind. I can sleep well at night knowing that I stepped into that situation. I saw something going wrong and I spoke up about it. So please, if you're watching this, don't say, okay, it's not my business, let me mind my business. God forbid, like Titi said, now she's lost a friend. No matter how, you think about it, there will still be that tingling feeling of guilt. Maybe I should have done more. Maybe I should have done more. You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be in that situation where you're feeling like you should have done more to help this friend of yours. So speak up. There are rules coming up even in Africa, in Nigeria, and in some other countries now that makes these things easier to handle. It might not be as great as the Western world, but you know I'm sure law enforcement can listen to you. And as a woman, know your right. As a man, know your right in the marriage. Don't sit there and just take the abuse. God is not going to give any of you trophy for dying in an abusive marriage. As far as I'm concerned, it's suicide. God is not going to give anyone crown. There's no crown of righteousness. If you're a believer and you're thinking that, oh, God is going to give you one crown for persevering and for enduring, as Sister Titi was saying, for enduring an abusive marriage, as it's a special crown for you. It's a lie from the pit of hell. In fact, if you die in that marriage, you are like someone who committed suicide. So speak up, seek help. And if you don't know who to call, you don't know who to talk to, I always say it on this platform, reach out to us and we'll signpost you to where you can find help. All right, that's that about that question. We'll take a minute break, just catch our breath, and then we will try to return back with our second question. While we're catching the break, ladies and gentlemen, please subscribe if you have not subscribed to our channel on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook so you can know when we are live again. All right, see you in a minute. All right, we are back. Welcome back, everyone. And it's still your question and answer Sunday on Conversation with the Love Crusader. We have just dealt with our first question, and we are about to begin talking about our second question. This month, like I highlighted, we were talking about love and domestic abuse, and last Sunday we talked about the male perspective. So I got this very very juicy story from a man. I was happy, and I can't say it enough. I'm always happy when men send me questions. Please, if you're a man out there, just know that I especially want to hear from you. I especially want to hear from you as a man, because most times men don't talk, and they always believe that, oh, men don't cry, men should not, men should be strong, and a lot of men are dying in silence. Please speak up if you're a man. All right, so this man said he was not with us live last Sunday, but he later watched some aspect of the show, and he doesn't know now whether he can say he's in an abusive relationship. He's been married for some years now, and he's always attributed his wife's behavior to upbringing, because she's an only child, and he feels she was maybe spoilt, pampered. She was pampered. Okay, so what is his challenge with his wife? He said the wife um throws tantrums. She gives him silent treatment. If she wants something, she has to have it, whether he can afford it or not, whether the money is there or not. Until she gets it, there's no peace in the house. She will not as much as sit with him and have a conversation. She will not have sex with him. She will not cook for him. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to cook. He will end up start buying food until her royal majesty decides to come off her high horse. If it's 1 week, if it's 2 weeks, that she feels like he knows that he's been punished, and that most times he will now have to go out of his way to get that thing for her. That is especially when she wants something, that she wants him to buy her something, or she wants him to do something financially. She will go through any of all these lengths to make sure, and that he's had to go and borrow to even buy something for her. So, is he in an abusive marriage? That's his number one question. And number two, if yes, what can he do to help the situation? Because he loves his wife, he loves his marriage, that, and truthfully, like he said, he's always overlooked it, because he sees it as, because she was pampered as an only child. Maybe her parents she's used to being given everything she wanted as an only child. So who wants to answer the man first? Is he in an abusive relationship? And if yes, how can he help himself and his wife? People are keeping quiet. People should talk. Oh, okay, man, you're a man. Talk.
No, no, that's a good one for Titi. Really? Oh, wow. It's quite a situation that he has described. Um, I don't know if I can make a full blown conclusion that, well, that is, an abusive situation. What he has described, I think I would be close to saying it's abusive. The way he has described it, it seems like a regular occurrence.
Yeah, it's
It's
a
almost like it's
manipulative
expected.
occurrence. It's a regular
It's expected,
occurrence, so it's
right?
kind of manipulative.
Right. So, and every time there's a certain kind of situation, he expects to be treated this way for a certain duration of time. It seems to me as, describing quite an abusive situation. From the aspect of psychological, is a combination of psychological and emotional abuse going on there. Um, it's hard to just put someone's situation in a conclusive box and say this is what it is. It's not so easy to do. I think more than defining it as abusive or not is what can he or what can they do in this situation to make it better,
Yeah.
would perhaps be the best line of approach. And um yeah, they need to, I would greatly suggest counseling, because if he suspects that this has to do with upbringing, which most likely it would be, especially when you're dealing with a situation where I want something, I must get what I want. Most people who grow up and become adults tend to get away from that attitude. We all have it when we're growing up as kids, right? But as we keep growing, as we go through life, a lot of us now have a more balanced mindset of, yeah, I want what I want, but I also understand that I will not be able to always get what I want. And that is okay. To be able to say that is okay, it's fine, life still goes on, we're still good, is that's somehow the spouse is not getting to that point. So there needs to be a series of, I would say, therapy, counseling involved, which will be geared towards trying to help the person accept a situation where they're not getting what they want as part of life, and they don't need to have this long drawn out, manipulated reaction until they now get what it is they want, because that's not always feasible. And part of maturing, a more mature way of seeing it, is to understand that that's not always feasible. So that's my suggestion for that couple.
Pity.
Uh, I think that I think what I would say is that the situation he has described is definitely an unhealthy situation. I mean,
Mm.
it is not a healthy situation for any marriage. And I mean, you know what would happen eventually if this cycle continues to repeat itself. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of time before the whole relationship packs up.
Yeah.
And earlier on, the first question we're talking about why people stay in abusive relationships and all. I think one of the reasons is familiarity. Aside you've been with this person for years. So that fear of what if I lose this marriage?
Where do I go and
What if
start from?
where do I start from? You
Yeah.
know, and that has nothing to do with maybe money or anything. You've invested time in this marriage. Even if you've been married for a couple of years, before you got married, probably you dated the person, you know. So part of your life is invested. And most people say, yeah, just it is what it is. But it's so hard to throw away, at least for you, you've put in so much into the marriage. You put in time, put in energy, you put in all of yourself. So to now take, and that's what marriage does. Marriage is like merging, you know. So to now want to take apart is hard. It's like you're tearing something, and that's what most people don't want. So they would rather stick with what they are familiar with, the devil that they know,
Mm-hmm.
than going out. And so that fear of, what if this marriage goes south? I don't want that. So I'd rather stay here and just be managing this. So it's always that fear underneath that, hmm, if I decide to do what is needful now, it might end the other way. So definitely the relationship, that kind of system is unhealthy. And I think they need to get some form of help, which most likely the wife might not be open to getting, because she doesn't get it yet. So at this point, I think the man should take definitive action. Sometimes we know what to do, we're just afraid, of
Mm.
that thing. Because sometimes when you take actions like that, it might go anyway. She can
Yeah.
decide and say, I'm not sitting seeking any help. Or there's nothing wrong with me. Every time I tell you that I
Yeah.
want something, that's when you start bringing up issues like this. But to stop abuse, you need to put your foot down sometimes and say, if this cannot go on like this, we need to do this. If we
Yes.
don't think we need to do this, you come up with a solution. Then let's work with that solution. But either way, we need to take action. And if you don't take that action, I'm sorry, I can't continue like this. We might have to separate. That is the point people don't want to get to,
Yeah.
because of, yeah. So is that fear? He knows he needs to do something. And I'm sure somehow he knows what to do to get this help. It's just that underlying fear of, what if it goes south? Fortunately or unfortunately, it's something that we have to battle with. It's something that you have to accept and say, and just plunge in by faith, because the relationship is affecting both parties negatively.
Mm.
He's enabling her, she's abusing him, he's enabling her, you know. So sometimes we need to rise above that fear and say, this is not right, this is unhealthy, we need to seek help. If she's not willing to seek help, you go ahead and seek help and take the necessary steps. And sometimes, if the beauty of this thing is that most of the times that fear is just a mirage. At the other side, there's hope, there's recommitment, there's a
Yeah.
beautiful relationship. But that fear will just hold you back and cause you to continue to settle for less. So my suggestion to him is, do what it is that you need to do, not what you feel like doing. This relationship is not working. No, do what is needful. Seek guidance, seek counseling, and do what is necessary, because you're enabling her and she's abusing it.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. And that is why I hear in this country where we are, they even arrest enablers. So if you, like Emmanuel was describing a situation where maybe law enforcement come and they can physically see you injured or you've been physically violated, and you are still trying to say, oh, nothing happened to me, we are friends. They arrest you, they arrest the person. They separate both of you and then go question you maybe in a cell, or go question, they will release the enabler eventually, but you know, at that moment they will still arrest you and take you as an enabler away and even record you as an enabler, you know, of abuse. So it's taking that far and that seriously. Um for this guy, I think he should first of all start treating this woman the way you would treat a child. That's it. The way you would train your child, because she really maybe have gotten used to having everything she wants by her upbringing. You know how when you look at some children, when you say, oh, they want something, say no, you can't have it, they throw themselves on the floor, they start hitting themselves on the floor and crying and rolling on the ground. Hello. Okay, I should not say it on should I not say it on TV? I used to beat my children. When you do that and you will not get that thing, if you react like that, that's the end. You're not getting that biscuit, you're not getting that sweet, you're not getting that chocolate. And make sure you never taste it because of that reaction. So I think for me, that's where he should start. He should start from saying, Okay, you are going to carry this your face. Let's see how long you carry it. I'm not giving in. Carry the face. You're going to give me the silent treatment. Don't talk to me. I don't know how long he can go for without sex.
That's the question. That's
Because
the
I think
thing.
that is where
And
the
it's
thing
not
becomes
just
a
it's not
challenge for
even
men.
just it's not even just sex alone. For this man to come out and say this kind of thing, he values the relationship he has with his wife.
Yes,
He doesn't
yes,
he can't stand that
being
um
away from her
yes
and the
for too
separation
long,
and all that.
you
Yes,
know. So
yes.
I don't know how he'll be able to handle
And
that.
I think she knows. She
She
knows he
knows.
loves her. She knows he loves her. She knows he
Hmm.
wants her around, because I mean, if he's a man that does not care, if you I know men, there's some men that carry that face from Nati Dakidoko. They're not even seeing your face. They don't even know whether you exist, you know. But
But for
this
this
woman,
guy, I think he has an edge. I will always say it. If he's a
no,
man,
no,
he has an edge.
everybody has that
No,
edge
I'm
because
saying generally for men, men have an edge because you are the
explain.
head of the family.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that there are some village women that are not correct in head, but generally, you are the head of the family. You can call, as in, you toasted this girl for crying out loud. So go and bring those things back and use it to corner her or bring her back. Because if it was
The, the,
if
the
it's the
challenge
lady,
with the challenge with most situations and uh, a bit of their situation, because I have a bit of that history, is he started on that note, even with the toasting. He was always buying her things, he was always spending money, and of course, according to him, his financial situation was better and there was less pressure. Now they are becoming more mature, they're thinking investments, he's thinking he's building a house, he's thinking children are in school fees and stuff like that. So there are so many other things now
a lot is
that
at
are
stake. A lot for him to take the
so,
action he needs to take right now. A whole lot is at stake for him.
yeah. So now he's not maybe in that financial um he doesn't have that kind of financial freedom to spend the kind of money she wants to be spent, but she still wants him to continue to do that. I've said to him, like you rightly said it, he's an enabler. You encourage this from the onset, maybe giving her the impression that whatever she wants she would always get. If you're a guy out there, you're toasting a woman, you're asking her out, don't start giving those kind of impression. I always say it, try to be real, down to earth, and be yourself. Don't start what you will not be able to continue. Ehen. Because you just want to impress this girl, or you just want to get her. You love her so much. You just want to get her. And whatever you have started to get her, uncle, you will continue it to keep her. So I think that is another aspect of it that we must also look at, you know. And I'm not trying to put the blame on the guy. I'm still trying to like look at the picture holistically. This woman needs to grow up. Even if you were treated that way as a child, you are now a mother of your own children. So why do you now have to keep sitting down and franking your face, according to the way someone I know used to say it? You frank your face, you get upset, you throw tantrums, you will not talk to him, you will not cook because you know he cannot cook. If it's a man that can cook, oh yeah, we enter kitchen and you call your bluff, but truthfully, like you said, it will not last.
For the
Where is
woman is
echo coming from?
sorry, for the woman, if she was to say her own side of the story, she won't relate it like this. She will have her own
Definitely.
reasons.
Definitely. Now, husband and wife don't ever relate the side of the story where they are at fault. They relate the other person's side. That's usually the story. That's why when we do counseling, we encourage you to be both people sitting down and both of you, saying you're having your say. Because if you listen to one person, most cases, you want to go and kill the other. And when you now listen to the other one, you say, so you are even the devil. So that's a normal thing, with couples. Well, we're just saying because he is the one who is asking a question and seeking for help. He is the one who is saying there's a challenge here. I don't think this is normal again. And especially according to him, coming from the conversations we had last week, was an eye opener for him to say, look, this can actually be some form of abuse that I'm going through in this marriage, that I've been excusing and I've been allowing and I've been, taking it, not even understanding that this is some form of abuse. So, yes, like Emmanuel has said, counseling is very, very important. We cannot overemphasize the importance of it. We always say it here. Go for counseling, go for therapy, go and talk to someone who would give you good guidance on how both of you can grow up, and you can stop being an enabler and she can stop being the manipulative one, because that is a manipulative behavior. Even last week we mentioned it here: withholding sex because you're not giving something, or because you're not giving money. We're not talking about that there's a challenge, there's quarrel on ground, yes, settle the quarrel. But to say, oh, you did not, excuse me, you didn't buy me A, or you didn't buy me B, so I'm not going to, that is like trading sex. I don't want to use any rash word, but Emmanuel is laughing at me. But I think that's what prostitution is about. I mean,
Yeah, it's a way of gaining control over the other person. And that's one of the hallmark of abuse
abuse.
that we put together. Whatever it is you're doing, whether you're physically violent to gain control and to force the person to do what you want, or you're withholding sex, or you're withholding friendship, the cordiality, or you're
Mm,
withholding peace. The house now becomes a place full of rancor and acrimony. Anything that perhaps you would normally have done to just allow the free flow of your home. This is not a one-off, I reacted this way because I was upset. This is now a predictable pattern of behavior.
yes.
So that's why I said I would define the situation as an abusive situation. And once you've gotten to the point where you can do that, you now liberate yourself to actually seek the help that is needed. To actually make the step forward, to make that effort to find, okay, how do we go from A to B? How do we get better? I know my spouse reacts or responds or does these things this way. How can I start educating my spouse to understand that there's a different alternative? It's not that of course, anyone can feel disappointment. But how do I respond when I'm disappointed in such a manner that is healthy? We all want to be within healthy boundaries. So that's really what we're emphasizing and trying to encourage here when we say seek help. Reach out to counselors. You yourself too, talk to yourself and talk to your spouse. You guys need to have mature conversations that deal with reality. Yeah, of course, I was going to throw in a word to parents. It's really important because all abusers are raised by somebody,
Mm,
whether they are your biological parents, foster parents. So Adolf Hitler was born and raised by someone,
yeah.
right? He was, and that was somebody taught him the principles he believed that he eventually went on to execute in his life. The same thing happens. So it's also important that as parents, we make every effort to, and it's not easy. I've seen some parents that just to shy away from the burden of disciplining their kids because they feel like, oh, I feel bad. Now the child is sad, or the child is now crying. I'm making my kid cry. You deny the child what they should truly have in terms of discipline, in terms of morals, in terms of a stable emotional mindset, all in the bid to keep your own self from feeling bad. But then that child grows up to become somebody else's spouse, become a co-worker to someone, become a friend to someone. And whatever it is they have lacked in terms of their emotional maturity, they are going to live out in that marriage. They're going to live out in those friendships. So it's important, a word to parents, that do the hard thing. Try to instill discipline in your kids. Try to help your kids to mature emotionally. And emotional maturity also means accepting reality, appreciating
Exactly.
reality, and having a sense of hope that is beyond the present, that it will get better. These are some of the things that we should inculcate in our children, so that they grow up to be strong emotionally in their own marriages and relationships.
Let me say
Totally,
something
you
that will liberate
go
this
on,
guy.
please.
Let me say something that will liberate him.
Yeah.
Something that may be hard, but I think is what he needs to do at this moment. I'll just say to him that you need to come to that point and accept the fact that the decisions you have to make can go both ways. It can affect your relationship either way, and you need to accept the fact that your life or your health, relationship wise, transcends whatever happens. Either way, the relationship goes through. Be your state of mind transcends that. You know, your well-being, is higher than whatever, either way the relationship goes through. If you
Mm.
come, which is hard to come to, if you come to that acceptance, then you step out and seek help, or you call your wife and say, this is not going to happen again. We need to find a different way, or you go find a different way and present it to her, and just take it up from there.
Okay. Thank you so much for all of the wonderful comments. I hope that my guy who asked this question can hear um our responses, and I hope that our responses can help you. We have said you need therapy, you need help, you need to begin to put your foot down, have a conversation with your wife to say, look, this is not acceptable, this is no longer, I did not know before, now I know that I'm enabling you to abuse me, and like Titi said, it's not even just for this man but for every one of us. Please know that your self love and self respect and self worth as a person is not tied to any relationship or tied to a man or a woman. Don't emotionally build your world around someone so much so that you know it becomes the one of, I don't think I can live without this person. And so even when things are not right, you don't want to put your foot down, you don't want to do the right thing because of the fear of having to lose this person. They would say, if you are good, people don't lose you. It's not, you are not losing them, they lose you. You have a sense of self-worth in who you are, what you bring to the table. Be emotionally healthy and whole in yourself, so that you can be able to stand against situations where you say, look, this is wrong, I don't have to continue. I think for both questions that we have dealt with today, this is just the bottom line. That woman herself too needs to come to a point where she can say, the woman in her first question, she needs to come to a point where she can say, I can live without this man. Actually, I don't have to continue in this marriage, I don't have to stay in this marriage where I'm being abused, and battered and injured, and I can die. And they're supposed to say, oh, stay for the children. But usually, how it ends up is the woman is killed, God forbid, the man is jailed, and at this point, what happens? It's still the children who suffers. So the psychology or the philosophy, and I heard this a lot when I was growing up too, stay for the children, stay for the children. It's a very, very wrong message. It's a wrong philosophy. There's nothing to stay for if there's nothing to stay for. The children would even be more grateful to you. They might live a better life, if they are not in that environment, being brought up in a rancorous situation and in a situation of bitterness. They end up not being whole adults themselves. There's always one thing or the other emotionally wrong with them because of the environment where they have grown up from. And if you are a parent, like Emmanuel has said, let's help ourselves, to bring up adults who are emotionally matured, who, let's tell our children about life and how life is. And one language my son will always say to me is, Mom, I remember you always say to me, you cannot always have what you want. And I started saying to my kids when they were very, very small, like I said, if you start doing tantrums about something, chances are you will never get that thing from me anymore. Because I don't want you to feel, or I don't want you to think that well, if I cry and I roll myself on the floor and I hit myself on the floor, then mommy is going to give it to me. I'm not going to feel guilty about not giving it to you if you behave like that. But if maybe you ask nicely, you come and ask mommy nicely for that thing, you will get it. And the only other aspect is some of the young ones we have these days are not accepting training. God help us. You're training some of them, their internet is training them, social media is training them and teaching them different lifestyles. But let's just keep praying for our children. Do your part in instilling the discipline and the necessary, life values in them, so that they can grow up to be adults that can have stable relationships and be happy in their marriages or their relationships. Okay, I don't want to drag this further, and I don't want to flog it anymore. Our time is up. Yeah, 1 hour, just like that. Our 1 hour is gone. Thank you, my darling co-host, for always being there. God bless you. God keep your relationships. God give us wisdom. Because like I always say to people, it's not because we are perfect at it that we're here. It's because we also are a work in progress. And as we come and as we talk to you, we also go back and talk to ourselves and learn and use what we're learning here to help our marriage. Next week, we'll come back with a wonderful couple on the love seat, one of my favorite segments of conversation with a love crusader. You will love this couple because I love them a lot, and they are very, very down to earth people. Don't miss it next week. Tell your friends to tell your friends. Share this, please. Subscribe if you have not subscribed to the channel so you will not miss any of our notification. Once again, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Titi. Thank you all for your time. Thank you to those who have come online and to those who would even watch this after we've gone off air. God bless you all. And how do I always say it? Have a love filled week.